Hello and welcome to Between the Pillars. Today I'm going to talk about Malkuth, which is the last of the 10 Sephiroth, but also the ultimate Sephiroth. We are immortal souls having planetary experiences. On the Tree of Life, Malkuth is the 10th Sephira, representing the realm of planetary experiences or the physical universe. The physical universe is the end product of a very complex creational activity. It's the fourth of four worlds or universes, and on the Tree of Life, the four worlds are represented as follows. The spiritual universe, that's Kether and Chokmah. The Clara universe or heavens or creative universe is Bina. The astral universe is represented by the Sephiroth from Chesed to Yesod, and the physical universe is Malkuth. As you can see, the physical universe is just 10% of the Tree of Life, but it's also the ultimate Sephiroth. The powers and energies of the 9 Sephiroth above and the 22 visible paths, they all flow and pour into Malkuth. And that's why Malkuth is also called the fruit of creation. It's the produce of the tree. And although it doesn't always look sacred, doesn't look like a sacred place, it is still a sanctuary because it is made of the 35 sacred paths above it. Malkuth is a place of joy. It's the place where we can have experienced beauty. It's the fruit of the Tree of Life. It's the purpose of creation. And the rest of the Tree of Life is embodied in it. We live in two worlds. The external world, that's planetary experiences, and the internal world. And the internal world is made of thoughts, feelings, imaginations, and desires, but also of invisible realms. So the external world, that's Malkuth, and the rest of the Tree of Life represents the internal world. So the world inside us is much larger than the physical universe. And that's indicated also by Jesus saying that the kingdom of heaven, and heaven should be a very large place, the kingdom of heaven is inside. Yeah, so we are Janus, this two-faced God who dwells on the threshold between the internal and external world, or Malkuth, and the rest of the Tree of Life. Quite a few experiences, planetary experience, can only be had in Malkuth. And for that reason we have something like a love relationship with planetary experiences, and we can actually also experience love relationships in the external world. And that's why one title of Malkuth is the bride, which means it's the bride of Tifereth, the higher self, which issues all the souls that enter Malkuth and have planetary experiences. So we can't have planetary experiences without our avatar, our soul, body, mind, spacesuit. And that means that all planetary experiences are colored by this spacesuit. And we don't have direct access to the external physical world. We have no idea how it actually looks like. So since we experience the external world only through our body, mind, soul spacesuit, these experiences are somewhat unreal, or elusive. And I want to demonstrate that in a bit of a scientific manner. So objects in the external world, they give off vibes, which are mostly light and sound. And when these vibes hit our senses, the eyes or the ears, these senses, the eye and the ear, they translate these vibes, these external vibes, into electromagnetic impulses, nerve signals. and transmit them to the brain. And the brain transforms these nerve signals into visual and audible impulses, like a multimedia stream, and projects that onto the frontal lobe of our brain. Yeah. So, and that we watch like we watch TV. So as you can see, we're always 2 steps away from the external world and reality. By the time we become aware of experiences, they are already memories. In addition, our senses only translate a very tiny spectrum of the vibrations of the external world, the visible light and the audible range that our ears can perceive. And in addition to that, we are impacted by the body's involuntary emotional reactions to experiences. Experiences are always accompanied by emotions, and emotions blur experiences. And experience may be may turn out a good experience for our soul's evolution, but if our emotions thinks it's scary or it's disgusting or makes it angry, then that's what we experience. So that also shows how virtual and made up our experiences are. Being 1 step away from reality and being subjected to appearances, that's represented by Tarot card 15, which is assigned to Capricorn, which is the most earthy zodiac sign. And the inverted wasteful burning torch in his hand, that represents emotions. So we have pleasurable and we have adverse experiences of Malkuth. And the adverse experiences seem to kind of dominate, and they are represented by Tarot card 15. And much of our work as souls who have planetary experiences aims at looking through these adverse experiences and still see the beauty of the divine expression or creation. So it's not possible to understand how the external world works by just observing it. In order to understand the external world, we need to engage with it. So we need to act and we need to experience, and then we need to analyze the reaction of the external world, how they react to our actions. And this brings us to the second thing we can do with Malkuth. We can experience Malkuth, but we also can act in Malkuth. And the analysis of this cycle of action and response that allows us to arrive at objective truth. And that's the scientific approach. And it's important to understand that this scientific approach, the analysis of action and response, is something we do all the time. Yeah. And in the context of enlightenment, this cycle of action and response, that's known as karma. Karma is science. So on a side note, in between incarnations, we lack this objectivity that we can gain in Malkuth. Objectivity is unique to planetary experiences, and this is one of the treasures we gain during incarnation. When we are discarnate, perception is different. Discarnate perception is an act of intention. The intention of uniting with that object or being that we want to perceive. And we need to synchronize our consciousness with that object or being. And this brings a different kind of knowledge, not the intellectual knowledge gained through differentiation. That's what we do in Malkuth, we differentiate the things, but knowledge by union. And the Enlightenment term for this different type of knowledge, the knowledge by union, is gnosis. And of course it is also possible to achieve gnosis, the knowledge by union, while we are incarnate, but only if we perform meditation. The physical universe is less tangible than you think. Every object is made of atoms, and inside atoms is mostly space. So you have the tiny kernel of the atom, and around it move the electrons. In between that is a huge amount of space. So, for example, if you were to remove that space between the nucleus and the electrons whirling around it, you could reduce an aircraft carrier to the pin of a needle. Yeah. And these subnuclear particles, they are just vibrations. There's nothing solid about them. So every physical object is just a bunch of vibes. And vibration is that substance of which everything is made. Yeah, it is the one thing mentioned in the Emerald Tablet of Hermes. So Malkuth, the external world, is just a play of energy or a play of light. And that's why Kabbalists gave Malkuth the title, the Resplendent Intelligence. You know, as amazing as it is that vibrations can create the endless variety of physical phenomena, how vibes can turn into steel and stone and air, it's even more amazing that we can actually perceive these illusions with our senses. So that's quite an ingenious setup, the ability to have planetary experiences. So Malkuth, we can have good and so-called bad experiences in Malkuth. Yeah, it's the only place where we can experience beauty and relationships, and we can cooperate with other people and create and do things together. But it is also a place of learning or a boot camp. Yeah, so we are here to evolve our consciousness. Something we can't do in the soul world between incarnations. In paradise, nobody evolves. For that reason, the external world keeps us busy with pleasure and karma. And we are on a pilgrimage that spans hundreds and thousands of incarnations in order to create a very special consciousness. The creation of the advanced human consciousness through evolution, that's the grand business of the universe. So we return to Malkuth over and over, we return to incarnation over and over until we get a grip on it. And when we reach a critical mass of understanding of Malkuth through many, many incarnations, that's when we experience a spiritual awakening. And then while we incarnate, we remember that we are actually much more than just an avatar. And we remember that there is a much larger reality behind Malkuth. And this kicks off enlightenment, the evolution of our consciousness. And with that, we begin our journey, our conscious journey back up on the tree of life. And in the next video, I will discuss the first path we take upwards, away from Malkuth and into the inner world, made up of the 9 Sephira and the 22 paths. And that's represented by Tarot card 21, the world. Thank you for watching this episode of Between the Pillars. Please help spreading the light with a like and a share. And don't forget to subscribe. Love and light.